Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Murphy, and I am also known on Twitter as Soccer Metric. And I'm going to be here to talk to you about my Intro to Soccer Analytics course. Today, we're going to talk about some of the background, what we're going to do. We'll get into some of the interesting things. We'll talk about how to, decide what you actually want to do with this. Before we fully get started, I want to give a little background about myself. For those of you who don't know, my day job, I'm a professor of political science at the University of Mary Washington. My research interests focus on Congress, the presidency, things like that, but I also teach quantitative methodology. And I've used that to enter into the soccer analytics world. So I wanted to share some of my knowledge with you all, work basically alongside my advanced research methods course I'm teaching this fall, and really maybe help build soccer analytics Twitter, help people either understand or even create their own metrics at the end of the day. So I want to get started. So why are you here? What are you doing here? I figure people are here for a couple of reasons. The first is you want to learn about analytics. And your goal is either just read and understand analytic pieces. There's a lot of interesting work out there being done using stats, using numbers. Arsene Wenger is starting to use the work of the evil number wizards in the things he does. And so maybe you just want to read and understand things better. Maybe you're part of the media, maybe you are with a club somewhere and you want to know what people are doing, see what interesting projects are being worked on out there. The second group, I figure, there's some people who want to create their own analytics projects. I may or may not leave this in, but this is Mango the cat standing right in front of my webcam. Say hi to everybody, Mango. Um, he's being a big help right now, and I probably will leave this in. So there's the group of people who want to create their own analytics. And maybe you want to become involved in things. Maybe you want to create your own expected goals model. Maybe you want to predict matches. Maybe you want to just be involved in the process somehow. Maybe you want to do this as a career. For those folks, this will be a good introduction for you as well. I plan on doing 2 tracks to let you all know. There'll be one set of videos where I explain concepts, walk through them, do a quick video on how I create them and how they work. There'll be a second set of videos that the first people don't have to watch. If your goal is just to read and understand things, you don't need to do it. But the second group will actually get into the actual details of creating our own projects and creating your own methods, measures, etc. I will do some programming in R, so some basic knowledge there will help. We might do a little bit in Excel for some basic work like that. But I want to be clear that there's no math or programming background required or assumed. I assume everyone's coming in here with zero knowledge of math, programming, things like that. I'm going to walk through the process just like I walk through with my undergrads. Most of my political science students chose political science, quite frankly, because they didn't want to do math, and we don't require that much of it in our major. So I'm going to assume people are at that level for the first set of videos. The second set of videos then we'll get into some of the concepts, but even then we're going to go through them very slowly, very clearly, so I think you all will have a really good chance of understanding things. Today I want to go over the syllabus. It's the first day of class, so it's syllabus day. The good news is that's no homework, and you probably should get out quicker. So lesson 1, we're going to start with how to get started and how to pick a topic. What exactly are you interested in? And one of the things, we had this conversation on Twitter the other day, one of the issues is a lot of people just go in with fancy math, fancy stats, and try to create things. And quite frankly, the best work doesn't get done that way. The best work gets done with the idea of picking a topic in mind. What are you interested in studying? There's people out there who do really interesting work. And they started with a topic, with an idea, with a question, something along those lines, and they built from there. Rather than, here's some stats I know, I would like to apply those. As a disclaimer, my work actually started with, I need to learn some stats, so how can I do that with soccer? Not the best way to do it. People who are better at this than I am start with a topic first. So the first lesson is going to be just a very basic introduction of how do you pick a topic, how should you get started with this. In lesson 2, you're going to answer your first research question. And by your first question, I mean my first question. And we're going to start with something simple. We're going to look at, has Jurgen Klopp made a difference at Liverpool? He's been there for a while now, depending on when you're watching this. And has he made a difference? Is he an improvement over Brendan Rodgers? Are we seeing something different? Is Liverpool better than they were 2-3 months ago? It's an interesting question. It's an important question. I thought it's a good way to start, maybe do a practical sort of topic as we get going in this. With this, we're going to create some variables. We're going to have to talk about things like, how do we know if he's made a difference? How do we create hypotheses? How would we know? What does it look like if Klopp has made Liverpool better versus if he hasn't? How would we know? What's the world look like in both cases? We'll do your first hypothesis test, just a simple difference of means test, and we'll look at a few different variables to see, has he improved? It's going to be incredibly simple, but at the end of it, you're going to have answered a very important, significant question in a rigorous, scientific way. That's going to be by the end of lesson 2, so get excited for that. By lesson 3, you're going to do your first game prediction model. And that's the biggest question in soccer, right? Who's going to win the big game this weekend? We see all the pundits, we see all the different models, the gamblers, the fantasy football players, all these sorts of things. And it's an important question. So we're going to walk through the process. What do winning teams do? What does it look like? What do the stats look like when a team wins a game? What does it look like when a team loses a game? How do we know which team is better? We're going to go through some basics of correlation there. We're going to walk through, and there's even a cool website called guessthecorrelation.com where you can visually see what a strong correlation looks like versus a weak correlation, all these sorts of things. How do we deal with multiple variables at the same time? How do we look at? Well, teams who win games have a lot of possession. They take a lot of shots. Maybe they make a lot of tackles, a lot of passes. What do they do, and how do we deal with all these different variables at the same time? By lesson 4, you're going to build your first expected goals model. What are expected goals anyway? What does it mean? You hear a lot on Twitter. Michael Cayley and a number of other people do these expected goals models. What are they? What do they look like? How do they come up with these weird numbers? When you see, Michael Cayley posts his, Arsenal beat Leicester City 2.8 to 1.2 in expected goals. What does that mean? How do you score 2.8 expected goals? How do you score 1.2 expected goals? Why are they different? What are they doing? What's going on? In that, you're even going to get a gentle introduction to machine learning and prediction, the science of prediction that way. Get excited for that. This is all very big days coming up. Lesson 5 is going to be an introduction to data visualization. You've done all this cool stuff. How can you show it to people? Never tell me anything that you can show me instead. It goes back to principles of writing. It's if you can write a long, boring paragraph telling me, I think Arsenal is a 64% favorite, Leicester is 24%, with 12% chance of a draw, or you can show me a cool picture. We're going to learn how to do cool pictures. We're going to learn how to read graphs that other people do, when we should use different types of graphs, bar graphs, line graphs, waffle plots, never pie charts, and then even how to create some basic graphs. And that'll get into some R, probably some Excel as well, depending on how people are comfortable. We're going to build it a lot based on your feedback, which gets me to lesson 6. And this is going to be by request. This is all I had planned. These are the building blocks of everything you're going to do. At that point, I'm going to start asking all of you what you want to do. What do you want to learn? You all are going to help build this course. I can do just about anything you want to do. In my class at Mary Washington where I teach is 15 weeks long, and I have a second class that's another 15 weeks long. I've got plenty of material. I've got plenty of knowledge. I can work with you on whatever you want to do. So I want to hear what you all want to learn at that point. You can help build this course, and I think that's the best way to do this. One final note. If you notice, I start all these lessons with a question. What are you going to learn? How does this work? That's the best way to do it. It's going to be simple. There's no math required. I'm going to walk you through it step by step, and you're going to learn all of these things, and you're going to learn them very quickly. So get excited. If you enjoy this, please share on Twitter. I'll tweet stuff. If you can retweet it, if you can tweet it yourself, whatever you can do. the bigger the audience I can get for this, the better. I'm not going to ask for any money. I'm not going to ask for anything from you all other than that. This is going to be a fair amount of work on my part in addition to my regular day job. So all I ask in return is that you help me get the biggest audience I can for this. If a lot of people are interested in it and a lot of people are participating in the course and we're having fun, it's going to be more exciting for me to do this and to keep going. If I'm only getting a handful of views, then I can't promise we're going to get through the whole thing, or we're certainly not going to be able to expand past lesson 5. So really, do me a favor. Share them. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at SoccerMetric. Retweet each other. Follow. Post your stuff publicly. Share what you're doing. Get people excited about this, because I think this could be really interesting and really great. There seems to be a huge demand for it. So help me out. Help me make this as big as we possibly can. The more people we get involved, the better. Thank you all very much, and I'm looking forward to getting started with our first lesson.